Today's episode of Crime Crazy is brought to you by Audible. Now, fans of Crime Crazy Podcast can get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/crimecrazy. They have over 180,000 titles to choose from, and you can listen on your iPhone, your Android, your Kindle, or your MP3 player. www.audibletrial.com/crimecrazy. Hi, Jordan.
Hi, Erin. I'm off to a bad start.
Welcome to Crime Crazy, our weekly true crime podcast where we...
Nope, you forgot our names.
Oh, man. People are going to think we do this on purpose. All right, let's try that again.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Crime Crazy, the weekly true crime podcast with Erin Plime.
And Jordan Middleton.
Where we prove...
that we know nothing about the legal system.
I forgot prove was my word.
That's okay.
But we are crazy for a good true crime story. And I have some today.
I am excited. You have two today.
I do. I actually have 2.5.
2.5?
Yeah, because I have a little update on one of our old crimes.
Oh, I was like, half a crime.
Yep, like... I'm going to tell you half the story, and then we're going to click
and... hit and run. Well, that's it. Time to go, guys.
Hope you didn't want to know the details.
I was like, oh my God, that's really cruel.
So this is yet another one of our recording at a strange time kind of things.
We've been good at this lately.
It's summer. There's all kinds of stuff going on.
Yes.
I'm adjusting my mic.
I'm going to try not to yawn. Shout out to Wawa again. Got my tea.
Did you see on Twitter?
Yes.
Where somebody was...
Yes. Everyone should tweet at Wawa and tag us on there and be like, you should sponsor them because literally that's all Jordan eats, drinks.
It is... Well, today...
I go there way too much to the point where the girls know that I want extra lettuce on my sandwich without me saying it. Because today when I went, I was like, can I have... She was like, yes. I was like, oh. Okay. And I walked back up and she's like, is this enough lettuce? And I'm like, yeah, thanks.
Oh. Well, today you came over and you weren't even going to go get Wawa. And my 4-year-old was like, you have to get your sandwich.
Yeah. He's like, usually you bring your own sandwich. I was like, thanks for calling me out. Damn.
Because she doesn't eat anything I cook.
I don't eat anything anyone cooks anymore.
I'm not a terrible cook.
No, you're not. I'm just so
Thanks.
picky. I'm just saying you're not. Because we prepped a bunch of food when I lived here.
Yeah.
You know, like we did a lot of that. I just don't like vegetables like you like vegetables.
I do like vegetables.
And some meat you like, I don't like.
Have you seen the thing growing in my kitchen, the sprouts?
No.
I'm growing my own sprouts because there's nowhere you can get sprouts around here.
Oh yeah, you were telling me this.
So yep. I bought everything and I bought a pound of alfalfa seeds. And I thought, well, you know, that'll make a couple jars.
What people eat when they're like in bomb shelters. I got my alfalfa sprouts.
I love alfalfa sprouts.
I got a pound.
Well, so I thought, well, that'll make a couple of like jars of them and I can have them a couple times.
I swear. Are broccoli sprouts a thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a friend who made those, and we just eat them all the time. And I don't know, it looked gross to me.
Them.
They're probably good, but it just looked gross.
Oh no, I mean they do look a little like worms or something, but because they're not quite green yet. I mean they get green on part of them, but half of them is like sprouts. White. Yeah, they're just bean sprouts.
Oh, I like bean sprouts and like pork fried rice.
Yeah, these are just really tiny bean sprouts.
Oh, okay.
But I made 2 tablespoons. I was like, well, I'll just make a tiny bit because I'm going out of town.
Yeah.
And you should go look at the jar. It's like crawling out of the jar.
Is it kind of like when you make rice and you do like a cup of rice, but it really ends up being like 2 cups of rice?
Yeah, except that this 2 tablespoons made like 10 cups of sprouts.
Oh my God.
And I have a pound of sprouts.
That is exactly what people in bomb shelters are eating. They're like, only 1 pound? It's like, only 1 pound.
That's all you're going to need.
I'll be lucky to live through the rest of this.
Right. Living Garden Massage. That's who said that Wawa should sponsor us.
Yes.
Because they're super nice.
Yeah. Well, because they know my love.
Yes.
And I always see the map on Facebook. It's like, oh, a moment of silence for all the places not yellow. They don't know what a Wawa run is. And it's only like little tiny pieces on the East Coast have Wawa.
Oh,
no one else does.
Huh.
So everyone else probably like, what the hell is the hubbub about it? I'm sitting here saying morning, noon, and night, I'm there.
Right. Right. I find that people who know and love Wawa love Wawa.
They just understand.
Yeah.
I don't want to go crazy. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's 5 minutes of our podcast spent talking about Wawa. So, Wawa, that's some good airtime.
Yep. Free of charge this time. Wink, wink.
Right. We're gonna start eating somewhere else.
I like how I said wink, wink, and I also tried to wink at the microphone.
You actually did. You didn't even wink at me. You were like, let me put my eye on the microphone.
And try to wink. I can't even wink.
That's not the first time that you have treated the microphone like a video camera.
I know. I always do. I'm like, oh, hey, what's up?
Let me show you my notes.
Oh yeah.
Wait. So, I have a couple of stories.
I'm excited.
Mine requires a little bit of background.
Okay.
Because this past week I was I was in Texas at a convention.
Okay.
For like technology educators. And it was awesome. There were 30,000 people at that convention.
That's a lot of people.
There were so
You keep saying that, and I'm
people.
like, ew. I'd be like, go away.
Oh my gosh! But it was huge. It like spanned multiple hotels and a convention center.
Well, that's how it was in Vegas, though. Literally you could just tell everywhere you went, it was the same convention name, and there were just people in like dress clothes everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, there weren't any people in dress clothes at our convention. It was hot. So the second to last day that I was there. One of the hotels where they were holding some convention events, but a lot of people who were there, like a lot of the attendees were at that hotel. And it's also attached to a mall, caught fire. Cool. Yeah. And it was a huge fire. Like, I was walking to a luncheon at the time in the opposite direction. And, like, I sent you that picture. Like, the whole thing was just smoke. And we all smelled like smoke. And you could just see it billowing through and there were, like, 10 fire trucks. It was a big, big deal. Yeah. And then they evacuated the hotel. And so they told everybody they had to go to the convention center and just stay there until we get the hotel back. And so that was my experience. So when I was trying to figure out what story I wanted to do, I was like, I'll do arson.
Oh.
So I looked up arson.
Very nice.
And the first story I came across that I liked, that I wanted to do, also took place in Texas.
That's so funny.
So the world is all connected.
Yes.
So, other than that, it really has nothing to do with anything. But I have a story about arson. And it's going to piss you off. Are you ready?
Oh. If I ever was.
Jordan has a little smoldering flame of pissed offness in her right now.
Already.
And it is going to come out at this story.
I'm like trying to like pace myself. I'm already mad and I don't know what about.
All I know is this fire really gets on my bad side. All right. So Cameron Todd Willingham.
Horrible name. Go ahead.
Yeah? What part of it?
The ham.
Oh, okay. The last 3 letters out of all 30 of them. Okay, so he was born January 9th, 1968.
Is he the bad guy?
Well, kinda.
Okay, because I didn't want to say that if it was someone deceased, and I'd feel really bad. Like if
he's
victim.
Also deceased.
Well, okay, a victim then. I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, so
okay.
This is I told you this case it's complicated.
All right, I'll shut up.
Okay, so
sorry, Mom.
Born January 9th, 1968 in Oklahoma, but then he moved to Texas.
Okay.
To I think it's Corsicana. Does that sound right? Corsicana. I don't know, but that's what it looks like. Anyway, on
it's
December.
Not Corpus Christi.
No, it's not Corpus Christi. I would be able to tell the difference.
Yeah.
Those have different letters.
Okay.
So, on December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas, 1991, there was a fire in his home. And it killed his 3 daughters, who were 2-year-old Amber and 1-year-old twins, Carmen and Cameron.
Oh.
Yes.
Carmen and Cameron?
And they both start with K's.
Oh.
But really, that's no reason for them to die.
No, that's sad.
Maybe their parents. No. Anyway.
2 and then 2 1-year-olds.
Yes, like, oh my God. Can you imagine? 3 children, 2 and under. But either way.
Nope.
They died in the fire.
That's so sad.
His wife was out shopping for Christmas presents at the time. So he was home alone with the girls. He ran outside the house. Like, it went really fast. Like, the fire started very quickly. Okay. And so he was sort of forced to go out the front door. He went out the front door. He was outside and saw his neighbor and started, like, screaming for them to call 911. And then he never went back in to save the girls. And that was something that the prosecution eventually brought up at trial, because they arrested him for the fire and said that he had set it. And so he never went back in to get the girls, and he kind of vacillated between being calm and being, like, crazy and upset. And so it was a little bit strange. Like, at one point, he sort of calmly moved his car away from the house. But then later, when he was asked about it, he was like, well, I thought it might explode, and I didn't want to make the fire worse. So I was trying to, get it out of the... So it was...
So he's, like, fishy, but then he has, like, a really good story with it.
Well, yeah, I think it was... I mean, I almost sort of interpreted it as maybe he was in shock a little bit. Like, he just didn't know what to do. But at the same time... It took a while for him to really get upset about his kids being in the house. Like, he screamed at the neighbor, my babies are in there, my babies are in there. But then the first time he really got upset was when, oh no, what is it called? Flashover. Do you know what flashover is? This is a new term for me. So flashover is when the house gets, or whatever's burning, suddenly gets so hot that everything ignites. Like, all at once. So, like, the fire's burning, the air's heating up, the walls are heating up, but they might not be on fire yet. But then all of a sudden it reaches that temperature and it just goes...
Dang.
Right. When that happened, he totally lost it. And I sort of wonder if that wasn't, like, the moment he realized there was no way anyone was going to be able to get his kids out.
Yeah.
But either way, so he was a little bit fishy. They did an investigation, and they determined right away there were some puddles on the floor that were charred, and they were like, oh, a liquid accelerant was used. And it looked like there were multiple origin points for the fire. It had burned really fast and really hot. They did a test near the front door, and it tested positive for some sort of liquid accelerant, like a gasoline or something near the front door.
Oh my God.
They couldn't find, like, a cut and dry motive for him. And so they had a couple of theories. And one theory was that he started the fire to cover up, like, a history of abuse, that he and maybe his wife were really abusive to the girls. There was definitely a history of abuse of him against his wife.
Oh.
And even though she pretty much stuck by him throughout the whole trial and everything, he definitely had hit her and injured her in the past.
God.
Another person. Oh, so then the prosecution also said that it could have just been he didn't want the kids, and they said, well, during his wife's pregnancy, he tried to kill both children, or like the twins, and both pregnancies, that he had kicked his wife in the stomach.
What a dick.
Well, except that there really wasn't any evidence of that either.
Oh, it was just kind of like hearsay?
Yeah, and she didn't support that as a thing either. So it was a little bit strange. Like, they had a lot of trouble. If I was her, I would have
lit the house on fire with him in it.
Well, right. But she said, oh, no, he would never have done this. Like, she didn't think he was guilty.
But was she, like, brainwashed, abused?
I don't know.
I don't know. I always hate that because I'm like, yes, he did. You better tell me the truth.
Right. So it's kind of tough to say. The final theory was that perhaps one or more of the girls had been severely injured or maybe even killed by the wife. And so he had sent her out Christmas shopping and then set the fire to cover it up.
For the wife?
Yes, for the wife.
Okay.
But again, there was no evidence of injury on any of the girls to support that. So, like, they all died from smoke inhalation and burns.
An autopsy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, please don't say that their bodies were so badly, burned that they couldn't.
No. Actually, they apparently weren't all that badly burned anyway, because they did find, and this was something that came up at trial too, the older one, Amber, had some very distinct burns, one across her forehead, and I forget where the other ones were, but that were sort of different than the other burns on her body. And at some point, the prosecution suggested that maybe he had taken, or actually they had a witness that said that he did this, that he had taken paper, set it on fire, and burned her to make it look like the girls had been playing with fire and they had started the fire. So this was the big part of the whole trial, and like the thing that really put the nail in the coffin, so to speak. They had a witness named Johnny Webb. Johnny Webb was a prisoner. He was an inmate that had been roomed with Willingham while he awaited trial. And Johnny Webb came to the prosecution and said, I have information. He confessed to me all of these details, and I'll tell you. So what he says is that Willingham had told him that he'd started the fire to cover up the death of one of his girls, that his wife had severely injured her, and I guess they didn't know if she had died or she was going to die, but he started the fire for that reason, that he'd done the burning thing. They did say, they couldn't find any injuries on any of the girls, but Webb was like, well, this is what he told me, and why would he tell me that? They also had some medical experts that came in and testified that Willingham had a tattoo of a skull and a serpent, and that tattoo clearly showed he was a sociopath, which is absolutely ridiculous because everyone in their right minds knows that shows he's a Death Eater. Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Okay,
which is kind of also sociopathic.
I automatically, my head was like, what's wrong with that? Like, he's a Harry Potter fan.
Right.
I'm like, not trying to defend him or anything, but
probably
like, what do you mean?
Not in 1991. Anyway, they also said that he had an Iron Maiden poster that was like a skull being punched, and that showed that he was really into violence and death. And he also had a Led Zeppelin poster of fallen angels, and that showed he was into cult activities.
Oh my god.
So then...
And then he had a My Little Pony poster, which showed he had daughters.
That's right.
It's all adding up!
And there was a lighter, and that showed he started fires.
Oh my god.
Actually, that's the only one that makes sense.
Yes. If they said that, I'd be like, thank you. Finally.
That's
something.
Right.
Something to stand on.
He lit candles on birthday cakes.
Oh my god.
So, James Grigson is a doctor. He's a psychiatrist. And they brought him in, and he said that the past criminal behaviors that Willingham had, which it didn't go into detail about what those were, but I assume that it was like domestic violence and maybe like some petty larceny or drugs or something, showed that he was an extremely severe sociopath and absolutely incurable.
Oh my god.
So...
How set in stone is this, like, case to these people?
They just knew. Well, I mean, they had the guy that said he told me and here are all the details. So I think that it was easy
that
for
happened
them
in one other story we talked about, that they went back and was like bragging to the cellmates, and then they were like, oops, I'm gonna tell on you.
Right. So, the prosecution basically surmised that he was unstable, he was suspicious, that all of his behaviors right after the fire were very strange, that he ended up with only minor burns and no smoke inhalation, so he was not even really in the house that long, and the minor burns may have been self-inflicted to make it look like he had tried to get the daughters out. He never went back into the house to try to rescue his children. When the flashover happened, he did have to be restrained by medical personnel because he freaked out and tried to get back in.
But is he just like a really good actor?
That's probably what they...
Because, I mean, I don't know. I don't think anyone knows in that situation what you would do. Like the whole fight or flight thing.
Sure.
Like, I don't
or
think
freeze.
You know. Oh, yeah. I would say the whole shock can take over. I don't know what I would do.
Right.
But...
Yeah, it was very
weird.
strange, especially in the very beginning of the fire. Now, they did say that it started really fast and burned really fast.
Yeah. Well, he put gas everywhere. Of course it's going to start really fast.
Right. So
I still think he's guilty, but I'm just saying, if it were not a crime like this, I feel like any other dad would run back in.
Yeah, if it just caught on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I worry that I would freeze. I would want to go back in. I would never be able to live with myself if I didn't.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I'd worry that I wouldn't be as much help as I would hindrance, and that I wouldn't know what to do, and I'd worry so much about what to do that I would never do it. I don't know.
I just remember I did this thing at the school one time when I was really little, and they, like, filled the school with, like, fog, like the really thick fog, so it was like a fake thing to try to teach you how to get out of, like, a burning situation.
That's terrible.
It was, but it was so... Like, I remember every single thing that they taught me because it's so hands-on. You know, they could read you, like, a million things, but until it's happening, you don't know.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
They were like, okay, see how you can stand and you can't really breathe? And we're all like, yeah. And then they're like, okay, now army crawl. See how the air is so much thinner down here you can breathe? I'm like, oh, shit, you're right. And then, like, don't
Little
touch
tiny
hands.
Jordan was like, oh, shit, you're right.
I probably was.
Well, have you seen that part? I think it was on The Office. Yeah, it was on The Office, where Dwight is going to teach everybody a lesson, and so he sets a fake fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're all trying to get out, and he's like jammed every whatever.
And he's like, uh-oh, now the door's shut, like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
And they're freaking out.
But that panic where they're all running around and they can't do anything and they're smashing, and one of the characters is like just picking up printers and throwing them on the ground.
Yeah,
and,
like destructing
I feel
everything.
like that would be me in a fire situation. Like, I'm just going to pick up the TV and knock it down. And
like, this'll help.
Right. I know I need to make loud noises. That'll keep the fire at bay.
I'll scare the fire away.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
It'll be just as effective as Mike setting himself on fire to compete with the fire.
I swear he would do something like that, though. He'd be like, I show you a fire.
I'll just drag the fire this way. I'll coat myself in gasoline, get real close, and pull it away.
Probably, yes. That's exactly what would go through his mind.
That does not say much about your boyfriend.
I know. I'm just teasing.
He's just that heroic.
He would.
All right, so back to this horrible case.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, the other thing that he did do that was really sketchy is that, well, I don't know. Maybe it's sketchy. He returned days later with some, like, accomplices, or not accomplices.
Shit.
Friends, associates, acquaintances. That's the word I was looking for.
Accomplices. That's okay.
And they went through the property looking for any possessions, which the article did point out that's a totally normal thing to do, right? You go back and you see if there's anything left. But his daughters weren't there anymore. It wasn't like he was going to find a body or anything. But he got really upset because he couldn't find a dart set. Like, his dart set had not...
Like a dartboard?
Yeah.
Like darts?
And then later, at a fundraiser somebody was holding for him and his family, he made the comment, or he, like, ordered a new dart set while he was there. And he was like, I guess money doesn't matter anymore. And ordered this dart set. So it was, like, really not grieving, not...
What do you mean money doesn't matter?
I guess insurance and fundraiser, he was going to be set. And he didn't have kids to take care of. I don't know.
You have 3 funerals to plan.
Right.
Or not, they could be the same funeral, but you know what I mean? Like 3 different things to plan like that.
3 people to bury.
I mean, I don't think insurance is going to cover your dart set if your house is completely gone. Don't you think that's more important?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. So that was definitely brought up at trial and made him look really bad.
Yeah.
He also...
Oh no, my twister board.
Right.
Money doesn't matter. Let's go on a shopping spree.
And darts?
I am okay with darts. My dad is like a champion with darts. Like, he actually won all these awards. He used to play for people, like, sponsored and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And I'm really good at darts.
Can you buy an expensive dart set?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They can be, but if my 3 daughters just died in a fire, I think the darts would be less important.
Well, right.
And he's just like, the whole money doesn't matter. I'm sorry. You still have to live.
Yeah.
Unless you're guilty as fuck and you're going to go to jail, but you still have to live.
So he refused a polygraph.
Oh my God.
Which, you know, they can't count against you in court, but he did refuse it. And they offered him a plea deal. And his lawyer told him to take it. And it was a life sentence for 3 murders instead of the death penalty.
Oh, shit.
And he said, I can't plead guilty to something I didn't do.
Huh.
So they sentenced him to death.
He's an idiot.
Then in 2004, so that happened in 91. Oh, yeah?
Oh, my God. Sorry. I just like...
In 2004, Chicago Tribune reporters sort of looked into it again and wrote about how poor the fire investigation methods they used were.
Oh.
And even though they brought up lots of evidence about how it wasn't accurate and it really shouldn't have been presented in a trial and everything else, no appeals were granted. And he ended up being executed by lethal injection on February 17th, 2004. He was 36. He was a year older than me.
Wow.
Yep. End of his life. They killed him.
And nothing was said of the wife? She just stood by him at the trial and was like,
she did at that point.
He's a good man.
There are some reports that right before he died, he confessed to her that he had set the fire. That's what she has since told people. But it, like, when I read about it, it was really weird. It was like a little bit here and a little bit there, but it wasn't the big deal I thought it should have been.
That's kind of how my story is, though. There was like the big deal wasn't even the big deal.
Right.
I was like, guys, shift your focus.
So that's only like half of mine. Are you ready for the part that's going to piss you off? So, the fire, in 2004, right before the execution, Gerald Hurst, who's a fire investigator, refuted every single piece of evidence of arson in the house.
What?
Went through and proved it absolutely was not a fire that a human being set. It was an accidental fire. The only thing, or like the last thing that he proved, was about where they found the accelerant. Like, they did a chemical test and they found gasoline. So he looked at old pictures of the house and he said, I think what has happened, there was a charcoal grill on the front porch, which means there had to be lighter fluid.
Yeah.
And probably it melted in the fire, and when the firefighters were putting it out, it got sprayed all over the place. And that's how they were able to find it in places it shouldn't have been, like other than the porch, like in the house. And so basically, so there's no way. Like, he is absolutely not guilty because he couldn't have set this fire because it wasn't set by a person. So,
but then what was it set by?
So it didn't say. It just said that like the puddles and all the information about liquid accelerant and all that, it was all wrong. He disproved all of it. And so he sent evidence to the governor, because at this point it was too late for any sort of appeal. So the only thing he could do is talk to the governor and try to get like a stay of execution. Yeah. And the governor said he wasn't going to do anything about it, and he didn't care. And Willingham was a wife beater. And that was his statement.
Damn.
So doesn't matter whether he's guilty or not, he deserves to be executed.
I mean, okay, I don't think about executed, but if you beat someone, yeah, especially your wife, like.
No, I agree. He was a terrible person. Like, nobody disputed that he was abusive.
What about the girl? Was it just from abuse, maybe?
There wasn't any evidence that the kids were abused. So it probably was just that something fell on her that was burning. The jailhouse informant, after getting out early, which, by the way, it is not legal for prosecution to promise, like, if you're a jailhouse informant, to say, if you tell on this person, I'll reduce your sentence or I'll give you such and such. Like, there can't be a deal. Which is different than like a plea deal where you can testify against the other person, so you can get rewarded for testifying. But if you're just a jailhouse informant, you can't do that. Well, they found some tapes that proved that the prosecutor had done just that. And the guy got out early, so Webb got out early, and then he recanted. He said he'd been on a lot of antidepressants at the time, and he might have just been totally mistaken about the whole thing, and now that he thought about it, Willingham had never said those things.
What?
And then furthermore, the psychiatrist that said that he was a sociopath because of his tattoo and his posters and his criminal history and everything else, his nickname is actually Dr. Death because of all of the, oh my gosh, what's the word?
I don't know what word you're thinking of. What is it like?
Capital punishment.
Okay.
That was the longest pause.
I was like, you just put waiting music there.
Right. So let's try that again. So Dr. Grigson, his nickname is Dr. Death because of all the capital punishment cases that he has sat on, and every single one of them he was like, oh yeah, that guy deserves to die. Oh yeah, that guy deserves to die. Oh yeah, that guy is crazy. He's incurable, whatever. And the American Psychiatric Association actually expelled him and said that he was guilty of unethical conduct because he didn't examine any of the patients before saying these things. Oh. He basically would just say whatever you paid him to say.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How crooked is this case?
Yeah. So it turns out they executed an innocent man. And
a partially innocent man.
Well, innocent of the crime they executed him for.
That's true. All right. I'll agree with that one.
Innocent of the murders. So I had some thoughts sort of going back, like, about him not going into the house and about him moving the car and about him making the comment about, like, the dartboard. And I just sort of wonder if, I mean, on the one hand, maybe the fire started. He saw it as an opportunity and he didn't help. And so he is guilty of, like, negligence. And that could be, you know, it could be that the kids were a lot more trouble than he was prepared for and everything. But it could have also just been shock. You know, if most of your family suddenly dies, maybe the one thing that you just needed was some possession of yours. Like, you just need that thing. That's just what you're focused on.
You still have your wife, though.
Yeah.
Like, I know you beat her, but...
Right.
Clearly you guys love each other somewhat.
Right.
I don't know. It must be shocking grieving and just weird. Because everybody grieves different ways.
Sure.
And maybe that was just his weird way.
Yeah. So, that was my horrible, terrible, depressing, make you angry case.
Dang. Okay, so mine probably won't make you that angry.
That's good.
But mine is like all about the little things. So I did shorten it a bit just because the amount of details, oh my God, it was so much. And I was like, guys, this is not all important. Like the posters. Oh my God.
I couldn't believe that any psychiatrist would say that. That's ridiculous. Maybe it means he likes crappy music. Like,
yeah, I was like, okay, so he's trying to be like, not cool, but cool. Like, oh, look at my cool posters. I'm a dad. I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, he obviously wasn't very grown up, and he wasn't a great guy, and he had a criminal history, but we don't execute people for spousal abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we should. But this is why I always feel like I have an issue with the death penalty, is because they killed him.
Yeah.
And now we know, this is the second case I've done, where they killed somebody and then we found out they were innocent. Like, that's a big problem. You can't undo that. You can't pay them money and give them their lives back. And, you know.
True.
Anyway, okay. So tell me about yours.
So, mine I've named Revenge of the Piper.
Okay. Like the Pied Piper?
No, her name's just Piper.
Oh. Okay.
I was like, this sounds funny. So that's why I put the Piper. So mine started, let's see. So it was October 30th, so the day before Halloween in 2004.
Ooh.
So we kind of like left.
Holidays.
We started where yours left off.
Yeah, pretty much. A couple months later.
So this is a little bit of a backstory. A neighbor of this like suburb heard 3 gunshots, ran to the window, saw someone running down the street at 6:39 a.m. So he called the police. And 2 Henrico County police.
Oh my gosh, this is next door.
I know. Came and searched the area. They didn't see anything suspicious. It was dark. You know, the guy was like, well, it could have been a jogger. You know, I couldn't tell you if it was a man or a woman. It was so dark. You know, it could have been anybody.
It wasn't necessarily the person associated with the
Exactly.
gunshots.
So that's why he was just kind of like, whatever. They didn't see anything when they searched where he thought he had heard the gunshots and whatever. So police left. Well, as soon as the sun rose, all of a sudden, they found a dead body in his neighbor, Frederick Jablin, in his house in his driveway, face down, still in his PJs and slippers. And he was shot twice, once in the arm and once in the back.
Had he been there the whole time?
Yep, they just didn't see him. They searched for half an hour and they didn't find the... I was so mad. I was
so
like,
wait,
you searched the whole suburb for half an hour. You didn't find the one dead guy and the one driveway.
Right next door. How close are these houses?
What? And it's like a little suburb, so I'm like sure they're not too far away, but if you heard gunshots outside and they check your little area, why wouldn't they check the neighbor across the street's house? Like, you know?
Right. I wonder if he was like, I definitely heard it in this other direction. Like, it echoed or...
Yeah. So those were, like, little details that weren't there that was like, well, I need those little details.
Right, those are the important ones.
You guys checked for a half an hour, you didn't find anybody, and as soon as the sun came up, you found him.
Were you looking for people that were standing up?
And they were like, well, it was dark.
Well, yes, that's what happens at night.
Yeah.
It's dark.
Until the sun rises, that's what happens. So, anyway, they found him face down, dead. So, within 2 weeks, they tracked a bank account and a cell phone record he was a professor, actually. And they found that his 44-year-old ex-wife, which was, her name is Piper, or it's Piper Roundtree. Roundtree. It's kind of like round, but there's no D, so it's like Roundtree. Roundtree.
That's funny.
So they kind of looked through that. They saw her pop up, and they saw that she had flown from Texas, which is funny, I know. It's like, when you said Texas, I was like, to Virginia at the time of the murder. So their little backstory, let me see, I made sure to write it down. They met in 81. She was a student. He was a professor at Texas University, the one in Austin.
Okay.
They got married in 83. They had 3 kids and were married for 2 decades. So within that time, they had 3 kids.
Okay.
2002, he filed for divorce because within 2001, she was having an affair with a doctor.
Oh, man. University professor wasn't good enough for her.
I know. I'm like, what are you doing? And she was a lawyer herself. So...
Wow, that's a high-power family.
Oh, yeah. So, he was granted the divorce and custody of all 3 kids.
Even against his lawyer wife.
Right. And her alimony payments ended up being $890 a month.
So, I have no idea. I guess that's a lot. I don't know.
I feel like that has to be somewhat child support.
Yeah. Oh,
but
definitely.
That was like the grand total, what he had to pay, or what she had to pay him a month.
Maybe some of their kids were grown.
No.
No? They were little?
No one was out of high school. Oh. No one was maybe even in high school. Hold on, I'm trying to find their ages. 10, 13, and 15.
Oh, man. Yeah,
so at the time, they were a few years younger. But yeah.
But if that's alimony and child support, that's not all that much.
Yeah.
That's not half of our income.
I feel like that's not a lot for a lawyer.
Right.
You know?
Maybe she sucked. I mean, obviously she sucked. She lost custody of her kids.
Yeah. So, I think the whole, what is it called? What is it called when your partner cheats on you? Oh my God.
Adultery.
Damn it.
Wow.
We're so bad with words today.
No, I know. I was too.
Oh my God. Okay. So I think that whole thing, the judge was like, yeah, well, screw you. So.
Right.
That was their little backstory. So then she moved in with her sister in Texas. He was in Virginia. That was in 2003. Then she shortly, so she really did suck because she had to declare bankruptcy.
Oh.
And because of her back alimony, she was almost up to like $10,000.
It sucks though that you can just declare bankruptcy because then it's like erase everything and get out of jail free. I mean, it's not. You've wrecked your life a little bit, but...
Mm-hmm. Well, she really wrecked her life. So in 2004, Jablin, which is the professor, he started his first serious relationship, and she, I guess, went crazy and was like, I don't want another woman around my kids.
Yeah, you don't have any room to talk.
Mm-hmm. So then it came to light that Jablin had a $200,000 life insurance policy that she was still the sole beneficiary of.
Oh, time to get that changed, dude.
So, yeah.
I guess it's past time to get that changed at this point.
Oh, yeah. So, that's kind of like their little backstory up until all of a sudden she's popping up on his phone records and, or her phone records and bank statements are kind of pulling everything together. So they're saying that she, obviously murdered him because of the bitter custody battle, and she was charged with first-degree murder. That's what they arrested her on. And, felonious use of a firearm. So before they had any major details, they nope, you did it.
Yeah.
They're so quick to do that. So then I was like, okay, that can't be it.
You happened to be in the area at the time and you could have benefited. So we have motive.
Yeah. So first degree murder. So she claimed that she was still in Texas, that she wasn't even in Virginia. And she pointed out all the inconsistencies with their whole story.
Did she say didn't you say it was a flight?
Oh yeah. So then they checked with the airport and they're like, oh no, Tina Roundtree checked in, and that they shared a cell phone from time to time. So her sister was in town.
Oh.
So I was like, what? So they were like, okay, well, is this a jealous ex-wife that would kill to get her kids back? Or is it just mistaken identity? What is it? So I was like,
did
all
they
right.
send the sister in as a hitman?
I know. I was like, what the heck's going on with Tina? I know. I talk about these people like they're my own. So
they're your own.
Yeah.
These are my people.
So the police were like, no. I think she bought a wig. She had her false documents.
Oh my gosh.
She got over here, that she killed him. That's what it is. And these police were this team. They were ruthless. They were like, no, it's you. So the defense attorney was like, there's still so many discrepancies. So this guy that she'd been dating, which just kind of makes no sense because this guy's name is not her boyfriend's name. So...
Well, yeah, but we've already established she has no issues with fidelity.
Yeah. So she had his debit card, and he said, yeah, I got an extra debit card to give to her.
Okay.
I was like, oh, first off, guy, don't do that.
That's really not how you're supposed to do that.
But then it was a few days after she got it, she claimed that it had been stolen. But the cards were used on October 21st to buy 2 wigs.
Oh.
So...
2 wigs?
2 wigs. And then their, I guess, come back to that was, oh, well, I bought them for my sister Tina because she goes to visit cancer patients at hospitals and she brings wigs.
If that's true, this is a terrible story.
I'm just saying, I'm like, guys, I was like...
She's an answer for everything.
Yes, and it's not good answers either.
No, they're not. But sometimes that's
I'm going to use the guy I'm dating's card to buy 2 wigs for my sister to go to a hospital to give to cancer patients.
Right.
The sister should buy her own fucking wigs to bring them. Oh, so bad.
But wouldn't you make up a better lie if it was a lie?
I guess.
Unless you're just stupid.
See, but that's the thing.
That's totally
people always
possible.
say when you lie, you give too many weird details. You're just too descriptive.
Yeah.
You're because you're trying to make it more believable by being that way.
Right.
Which
actually makes it less
if she would have
believable.
cut out for my sister to give to if she would have just been like, I buy wigs to donate to cancer patients.
Sure.
Boom. Done.
Right.
Not,
my sister.
I
My
buy
sister
these to give them
takes
to my
them
sister.
for-
My
right.
sister brings them there and presents it to the people. Shut up.
Wouldn't it be easy enough to verify?
They didn't. I think they just knew she was lying, so they were
Gotcha.
just like, okay, sure. So then they went to the airport, and one of the customer service ladies with the whatever airline she was using said, "Oh yeah, I remember. She was really pretty blonde, and that she was in a rush to get her ticket, but also that her name to her was Tina."
Okay.
So not Piper, but Tina, and that she wanted to check a gun.
Oh.
So in order to check a gun, there's a million things. You can't even bring a bottle of shampoo. So I can only imagine.
Right.
This is after 9/11, so everything was super strict then.
And it's much closer to 9/11 than we are now.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. All the restrictions are definitely in full force right now. So in order to check a gun, you have to have it in a certain kind of case with a certain kind of lock, and you have to have so many forms of ID, and then it's a big to do. So the debit card again was used on the 28th, which we're getting really close to the date where she's flying and killing this guy.
Right.
For a cable lock for the gun case. The exact cable lock that is on the gun case.
Did they have the gun?
Oh, no, wait. There's a thing with the gun.
Okay.
So she was like, I don't even own a gun. This is Piper. I don't even own a gun. the sister, so Tina's boyfriend, said, well, I gave Piper a gun in 2002, and it was a .38 revolver. And she was like, oh, no, he didn't. No, I don't have a gun. And just totally denied it. And he was like, yes, I did. I gave you the gun. In 2002. So,
right. Years before. It's just been sitting around.
Yep. So that was with the gun. They were like, she's like, oh, no, I didn't have a gun. So I don't think they had a gun at the trial or anything.
Gotcha.
But she was, oh, no, I never had it. And he was like, yeah, I gave it to you.
Is that the kind of gun that was checked out or checked at the airport?
Yes.
Okay, so then...
Well, oh, no. Well, they don't know if it was that gun particularly, but it was a smaller gun because it was a smaller case. So that I'm assuming, like... Okay. I'm just trying to solve the riddle here, but if it's a small gun and a small case, I'm going to put 2 to 2 together. Like the poster.
Right.
Oh, no.
It obviously means you're in a cult.
Yep.
If it's a small gun and a small case and a cable lock, you're in a cult.
Yep. So TSA, in order to do this, had to super check all these things. Well, their biggest comeback to that was, Tina has brown eyes. And Piper has blue eyes. And if Tina was the one who did it, you would have definitely noticed Piper's blue eyes.
So it couldn't be Piper because you didn't notice how strikingly blue her eyes were.
I was like, okay, doll yourself up a little bit more next time and maybe he'll notice. Like,
right.
I'm like, what are you trying to get? A boyfriend? You have 2 right now. So I was like, okay. So that was what it came down to, was the eye color. That was their biggest, like... Oh, yeah, I guess you'd have to check because you have to have so many forms of ID.
For the gun.
For her to act like Tina to check the gun. I'm sitting thinking, it is not like...
2004, there were also colored contacts.
Exactly what I'm thinking. I was like, it is not the Stone Age where you can't go by... Even Halloween, which is around the time where all the little colored contacts come out. I was like, you dumbass.
Why didn't they say that for the wig? Of course I bought a wig. It's almost Halloween.
Yeah, no. No.
My sister and I are going as each other. It's not suspicious.
Well, a few people said, oh, yeah, you could mistake them all the time. They always looked like twins. And so they already looked a lot alike. But I think it was Piper's hair was so short. And Tina's was long.
Right.
Or not long, but longer. So I think that was why she needed the wig.
A wig.
But, so that was the major evidence that, like, oh my God, the whole case was the eyes thing.
Right.
But they're thinking that her main motive was to erase the alimony debt because, she was up to $10,000. She had to claim bankruptcy already.
Right.
And she wanted custody of her 3 kids. She loved her kids so much. But I think because she had to move back to Texas with her now... guy, I don't know, she has like 2 or 3,
right.
And
all of her guys were in Texas.
Because she ended up she ended up being with like a dentist or something. I don't know. She had too many. I was like, who are you?
No one should ever be with a dentist.
Aaron hates
teeth. Really,
that's the only thing. So if we have any dentist listeners, I'm so sorry. It's just she hates teeth. But for her loving her kids so much, like. Everyone always said, oh, she was so sweet, she wouldn't hurt her to fly. But then there were a few people who admitted that she had spouts of rage and anger issues. And, so it was very conflicting because her family was like, no, she was so sweet and innocent. And then some, like, I guess closer family or friends maybe were like, no, she was literally insane. So I don't know. It's just all kind of adding up. The children ended up moving in with the father's only brother. And at this time, when they finally moved in with him, they were 10, 13, and 15. So maybe take a year or 2 off of those ages, and that's when the dad died. They were living with the dad at the time, so they were probably inside asleep while he was in the driveway.
Oh, my god.
So that's horrible. So after, it was like a 3 or 4 day trial. 3-day trial. They found her guilty of first-degree murder, and the jury recommended life in prison without parole.
Okay.
And they were very set in stone about this. They're like, nope, yep, she deserves it. Like, they were, I guess it was, like, unanimous. Like, they all wanted her life in prison. And they didn't want her to have a chance for parole. So, she received life plus 3 years.
Oh, okay. Just in case.
Yeah, I was like,
just in case you come back to life.
Yeah, I was like, okay. So, I don't know how to pronounce this. Correctional Center. Fluvanna?
Fluvanna. Yeah, that's the bad one here in Virginia. That's the one you go to if you're like a higher security risk or you killed someone.
That's where she is.
Or if you're in not a regular, but like one of the lower security ones and you like sleep with your roommate or something, then you go to Fluvanna.
Oh, that's where she is.
Oh, that's where she is right now?
Yeah. She's up for parole in 2020. So when she's 60 years old, she's up for parole.
That's so crazy.
Yep. So she's only, and like when this was written, it was like May 2005. She only got to see one of her kids, which was the oldest. So she was 15 one time. And she's like yet to see her kids like after that.
Again. They were like, no, we're just done with you.
Yeah. And
why wouldn't you be?
And the brother, so the uncle was like, nobody wins in this case. Now the parents, you know, like, she's in jail because she did this to my brother. My brother is dead. And now these poor kids have to live with that, knowing they lost their dad and their mom. Yeah. And he's like, nobody wins. Yeah. And he is so hurt by it all. But he's taking care of the kids. But she was interviewed in this one little snippet I wrote down, since she's been in prison, and like kind of like asking her how life is, and she said she misses certain luxuries and that she's not getting like used to it, but she's getting better, and she fills her time with reading the Bible. She walks 10 miles a day around the prison track. 10 miles a day.
That's a lot.
But you have a lot of time on your hands.
Well, I mean, if you're allowed to be outside for all that time.
She plays chess, and because she was a lawyer, she offers legal advice to all the other inmates.
Oh, she's actually probably pretty popular in prison.
Yep.
It kind of sucks.
So, and that was, that was in 2005. Man. So, she's up for parole in 2020.
Which is really a lot closer than I keep thinking. I keep hearing 2020 and I'm like, oh, well, yeah, but that's like 10 years from now. No. That's like 2.5 years from now. Yep. That's like, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
So I was just like, what? Yeah, but the whole like debit card, it was stolen, but they just happened to buy all these things that I needed to do my crime. Like, what the... like the whole like sharing cell phones thing. She said she had numerous cell phones and that her sister borrowed some from time to time. And
what person other than a drug dealer needs numerous?
I was saying,
cell
I'm like, okay, I understand if you're actually a good lawyer and you don't want some criminals you might be doing. Like, here's my work line.
Sure.
And it's like a burner phone, so they can't find you and kill you. But then, like,
or like through your
why would you give that to your sister? Or like, why would you give? I don't know. I'm like, you trying to set them up? But that was the Revenge of the Piper.
So they didn't charge Tina in your story?
No.
So they determined she didn't know anything about it?
Well, it was just kind of, it was weird. This is why I kept telling you there were so many details, but nothing like about the case, you know, or like about it. Because they would mention Tina a million times, but I couldn't find anything where they like brought Tina on the stand and Tina said, well, no, I didn't go to Virginia.
Right.
Like, well, I couldn't find that. I'm like, isn't that a major piece?
Right. Well, and Tina's boyfriend, maybe she just refused to testify. Maybe she was like, I'm just not going to be cooperative with you, so.
Yeah.
The boyfriend was. I wonder if they stayed together.
Well, because
she was like, you asshole.
He was like, yeah, I gave her a gun. But he probably was like stupid and didn't realize. One, I hate to say it like this, but they're all in Texas, living there. Everybody has a gun.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't deny that, but so much. And even in Virginia, where we are, everybody has a gun.
Everybody has a gun.
So that's why I was like, okay, let's not lie.
Well, I love that it took place here.
Yeah.
And like I could recognize
Texas.
Places.
And
funny. Texas. That's right.
Because like the airport she flew out of was San Antonio.
Oh, that's where I was.
I know. That's why I was like,
Well, and then the only other place I've ever been to in Texas was Austin. So
that's true.
Yeah.
I know. I guess a professor wasn't good enough, so she went to a doctor to have an affair.
And ended up with a dentist because she's stupid.
I swear it was a dentist. Yeah. I know. You hate it.
Yeah, but can you imagine what their dinner conversations would be? I couldn't live like that. I would not be able to do it. this guy came in today and his tooth was so... Nope.
Well, that's like Hermione, and it's like, and your dad's a dentist? And he's like, yeah. And he's like,
is that dangerous? Yes, it is.
I said, he got bit once. That's cute.
So, I have two connections, I have a connection, but then I have something funny to tell you in a second, because I just got a text that is totally, like, pertinent for this.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, the other thing I was going to say is I'm reading a book right now that takes place in Virginia.
Oh, really?
And they keep talking about, I think it's a made-up place in Virginia. I guess I could Google it and see if it's real. But they keep talking about things, and I'm like, yeah, that's Virginia. Oh, yeah, Virginia's exactly like that. Mostly they talk about how hot and humid it is.
Yeah, for real.
But I'm actually not reading it. That's a lie. I'm listening to it on Audible.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of our sponsors.
Yes.
So the book that I am reading is called Raven Boys, or listening to. I'm actually on the second one. It's a series.
Oh, cool.
And it's by Maggie Stiefvater.
Yeah. Murder that name.
Yeah. I knew you were anticipating it because I was writing it down earlier.
The shout out, I was like, I promise I wouldn't butcher your name. And then I did. And she messaged me and she was like, well, you didn't do it too badly. I said, I feel like it'd be wrong if I didn't butcher it. Like, I think I just should pronounce everybody's name wrong on purpose. No one's left out.
It'd be like if we got our intro right, even just once.
Nope, never gonna happen.
So anyway, Audible, if you go to audibletrial.com/crimecrazy, they'll give you a free book and a 30-day trial. So you could download Raven Boys and listen to it. It's a really good read. It's a little, listen. It's a little bit fantasy, and it's mystery, and it's kind of like some weird spiritual stuff. There are psychics. It's not a book I would have picked up myself.
Yeah.
But it's so good that I had to go out and get the second one right away.
It sounds good.
It is very, very good. My husband was listening to me listen to it earlier when you were out for ice cream, and I was screaming at the speaker I was listening to because I could see something about to happen and it couldn't happen. And so audibletrial.com/crimecrazy. And then the text I just got was actually from the person who recommended the book to me.
Oh.
Christy. And Christy has apparently been watching TV today. It's summer break, so we can do whatever we want. She says, do not watch the second episode of season 12 of Criminal Minds. And then 10 minutes later, she says, you know what? Just don't watch any of it. So now I have to watch Criminal Minds.
I'm like, wait, have I not seen that? That's the newest one.
But it just got on Netflix.
Oh.
So that's how she's watching it for the first time.
Oh, I've just been sitting around not watching it. It's on Netflix.
I think it just this week. It's just on Netflix. I know.
What do you mean just this week? I've been watching Netflix. But anyway.
All right.
Now you have a story and a half.
I do. I have a story and a half. I'm going to start with the half because it's not actually all that exciting. So, we've talked about in past episodes, there was the body that was found right across the river from us.
Yes.
And it actually was just remains. And it was found right where all the Colonial Parkway murders took place, which of course is our obsession.
And then they were like, no, it's not a part of that.
It's not related. And they said it was the body of an 18 to 25-year-old male.
Yep.
And they found the driver's license or some ID card of somebody in that age range who was a white male. So the only update so far, I found sort of a timeline, is they have taken the remains, they sent them to Richmond to the Central Medical Examiner's Office.
Yeah.
And they've taken DNA from the family of the person on the ID card. So they can compare it. They said it'll take 6 to 8 weeks to test the DNA, and then they can release the name if it matches, which it sounds like they're expecting it to match. So not a big update, but at least there's still something going on.
And it's still crazy that it takes 6 to 8 weeks to test DNA like that.
I was just thinking, if I was the family, they must just know. They must have told the family, this is definitely him. This is just a format. Because can you imagine somebody saying to you, well, that might be your kid or your brother, but you're going to have to wait 6 to 8 weeks before we can tell you for sure.
I don't know. I feel like they would do that to you.
Maybe. That hurts my heart so much to think about.
Anyway. That's crazy. All right. We'll have to keep up with that.
So, in 6 to 8 more episodes, we can give you an update. Yeah. Figure out who this guy was and why he was found on a road. Yeah. Or in the woods off a road.
Yeah.
All right. So my other story, in true stupid criminal fashion, is a story about James Blankenship. Have you ever heard about James Blankenship?
Horrible last name.
In Ohio?
No.
There's some Blankenships in our area, I think.
Really?
I think so.
Sorry, guys.
I think I went to school with one.
Oh, really sorry, guys.
I don't think it was James. So, he was in Ohio, and he and his mother had fought at some point. He's an adult, and she had...
I like how you added that. He is an adult.
He is an adult. Well, because she banned him from the property.
Oh.
She was like, you can never come here again.
Oh,
like,
shit.
She didn't get a restraining order. It wasn't anything
official,
but she banned him. And so he decided maybe to get back at her, maybe because he was low on cash, maybe because he was feeling homesick, he was going to break into the house.
Ugh.
But he had a foolproof way to not go to jail for breaking into the house and probably robbing it. You want to hear his foolproof
I'm excited.
plan? Okay. So.
I'm trying to figure it out in my head before you say it, but I don't think I'll have it in time.
Yeah. So, here's what he did.
Okay.
He cut the screen and climbed in through the window, which actually she saw him doing. And
I would have shoved his head back out the window and been like, no, bad.
All right, so he removed the screen. This is like 3 months after their fight. He was still banned. Removed the screen, illegally entered through a window, and she saw him, and when he knew that she saw him, like, she came in the room and, like, chased him away. He ran away. A neighbor, she called the police, and a neighbor said, well, I saw him run behind that house, and they went behind the house and found him hiding in a crawl space in, like, a neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
So, like, under the house. And the police went to arrest him, and here's where his foolproof plan comes in.
Oh, my God.
He said, you can't arrest me. It's not night. It's only burglary if you break in and steal stuff at night. And it is the middle of the day.
Huh.
They were like, I'm really sorry you feel that way. You're under arrest.
How does he have that idea in his head?
So, somebody pointed out, so I read like 6 articles, and that was all the information total, but somebody pointed out that I guess maybe like the original, like back when there were colonies, definition of burglary was breaking into a residence at night. Like, at night was included in the... So it's
at night. Possible. That's a SpongeBob thing, but it's still so funny. They have to work a night shift, and he's trying to make it more exciting. He's like, hey, Squidward, I'm taking out the trash. At night. He's like, ow, I burned my hand. At night. So everything is at night.
Well, for this dude, it was in the daytime, so it didn't count.
Oh, my God.
Turns out it did count.
Duh.
And I feel like the chances of him having, like, Googled burglary and come up with that archaic definition and thinking, I think he just... figured that's when robberies occur.
Yeah.
So that's when robbery
No, more
exists.
robberies happen during the daytime.
Well, I know. But not, in cartoons.
No. No.
I feel like that's his levels, like cartoons.
Oh, my God.
So
that's what I did. We talked about this one time, how I had to break into the house.
Yes.
When he locked me out. I removed the screen and came in through the window. If someone would have saw me, and it was at night, oh, my God. They would have thought... I would just been like, what?
And yet, the one time the police were called on our house, it was because I parked at an abandoned house because my driveway had just been paid.
Yes, that's true. I forgot about that.
That's my only brush with the law. So, yeah, they gave him like $100 fine and 160 or 180 days in jail.
Jeez.
But then they suspended like 120 days of it, so he ended up only spending like a couple weeks in jail. So... it wasn't all that big a deal.
No, apparently not.
Because they essentially had him plead guilty to stupidity. Mm-hmm. No, to entering a house against the owner's will instead, because he didn't get a chance to take anything and he didn't do any damage.
Yeah, he literally just removed the screen and got
he just
halfway in.
Jumped in the house and
jumped back out.
And Mom yelled at him and he ran away
and hid under someone else's house.
Right.
If I was that house, I would be like, yeah, I want to press charges too.
I'd like to press charges too. My crawl space was violated.
Yeah, get the hell from underneath my house. You're not a rat.
Maybe he is.
Ew.
He's the IQ of a rat. Anyway, so that's my
that is so
whole
funny.
story. And then we have shout-outs.
I know. I was going to say, did we get our shout-outs list?
I do. Do you want to help me read some of them? I wrote them out.
Sure. I'll butcher anything.
Yay! They're mostly screen names. They're
blue?
in blue.
Shout-outs.
So if you want to... I remember... They're mostly iTunes reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the one where there's a special note. That's the last one.
Your book? Wait.
Oh,
that one. I was like, the last note. I'm like,
the last one says the Raven Boys.
Well, I'll read the first few, and then you talk about the one with the note, because I'm still not seeing it. I was like, okay. Okay, so these first two I saw in the email, which I was super excited, because I didn't want to be awake, but I was awake, and I saw the email come through.
From Podrover.
Yes.
So Podrover is a new thing that we just started using that like goes around and collects all your reviews from iTunes in different countries, from Stitcher, from everything. And
which
it just
I didn't know about the
in
iTunes in different countries thing, but
I
that's so
didn't
cool.
either, which means some of you probably left these reviews a million years ago and wondered why we didn't hold up our end.
Right.
We're really sorry we didn't know.
It's hard to find.
Yeah. Well, so now it's easy.
If you're in a different country and you're on iTunes and you leave a review, screenshot it and email it to us. Right. Or just like DM us or something.
Well, but now we have that, so.
Well, it's true.
All right.
Okay. So, first two. Podrover, thanks a lot. So, I'm sure this is C Noel B.
Yeah, I think so.
But if I were to read it all, Snoelb.
Doesn't a C make a K sound?
Today.
Oh, it's Saturday, right? So it makes a S today.
Yes. Saturday. Well,
Saturday starts with an S.
I know, but it's Catterday, which is still K.
Oh my
so
God.
I was like, Saturday. Oh, come on. And then J, good luck. I'm going to take that because J for Jordan, good luck.
That's exactly what I thought when I wrote it down. I was like, oh, they want her to have good luck.
Oh, please, I need it. And then Funny Girl, girl. It's supposed to be Funny Girl. I like it. I like Funny Girl, the movie, the musical, the whole shebang.
The person who left us a review on iTunes.
And then Carol, is this Cold Case Notes?
Yes.
Okay. This is when we pass it back because there's notes and a squiggle and a book. So, guys, I'm going to let Erin take the wheel.
So, Cookie, with a bunch of numbers, 121955, also left us a great review. And then Film Roast Podcast also left us a review.
That must be her birthday.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, that could be a birthday.
Oh. Well,
sorry,
it's not December, so I'm not going to wish you a happy birthday, but...
I'm trying to decode your number. I always do that. I'm like, did you just slap the keyboard a few times, or do they mean something to you?
It's the right number of... but there are a couple of dates it could be. Because 1955, or 12/19/1955... or January 2nd, 1955. Like,
yeah,
it could be a lot of things.
It's a birthday, though.
It looked to me like a student ID because that is more pertinent in my life, apparently.
I still remember my student ID number.
I don't, but we never used it for anything because well, we didn't have like a keypad to type it in.
She old.
Oh, I see how it is. Film Roast Podcast also left us a review on Twitter, and they are so nice. Mm-hmm. And they left it on iTunes. I'm sorry. They also on Twitter gave us a shout out this week in a list of like new podcasts that are worth listening to. Aww. So that was very nice. And then I lied because the note wasn't on the last one; it was on the second to last one.
I was like, "What the hell is she looking at?"
Bloody Tea gave us a review on iTunes as well. So thank you, even though your name is a little bit scary.
Yes.
So if you would like a shout out sometime in the next 6 months or so when we realize you've left us a review, you can leave us a review on iTunes, or better yet, go on Patreon. I was like, where are they going? Oh, Erin is too tired to do this anymore. Go on Patreon, on our Patreon account, and you can support our show there. Yes. We are also... we're on Twitter and Instagram, same handle, right? Mm-hmm. All right, and that's Crime Crazy Pod. Yep. And then you can email us, and that's crimecrazypodcast@gmail.com. Yep. And then our Facebook group is facebook.com/crimecrazypodcast.
You can find us anywhere on Facebook.
Yeah, we are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to listen to our podcast and you can't find us for some reason, or we're not on the podcast
app, or...
I like that you just pick up where I take
we're like a married couple. I just finished your sentences.
Yikes.
App or what have you.
Right, program,
just
website.
Let us know, and we'll put ourselves on there.
That's right. We'll get to work on that. So, thanks for listening, and... Yes.
Try not to end up on next week's episode.
Bye.
Yay!
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Crime Crazy. We hope that you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed making it. If you like our show, please tell a friend, or better yet, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes or your favorite podcasting app. We really appreciate your feedback and want to give you a shout out on the next episode if you leave us a review. If you leave us a review somewhere other than iTunes, just let us know. If you loved our show, consider donating to our Patreon. We have lots of great surprises that we want to share with anyone who supports us. And let's be real, it's really just an excuse to send you cool stuff. Thanks again, and remember, even though we really have no idea what we're talking about, we'll be back next week to talk about it all over again.